Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the ball. Behind the wall.
Welcome in. Going to be a fabulous weekend. It is already a fabulous Friday. NBA championship game could be tonight, could be over. We'll have to wait and see. In Dallas, will there be a gentleman's sweep, or will this thing come to an end with Boston's domination? The NHL's the same way. Last night, Florida dominates 4-3. Although I think Edmonton had more shots, but Florida's just been the better team. They're quicker. Their goaltending has been fantastic. But if you look at this, and you're ABC, and you are putting all of these games in prime time, you are expecting a possibility of 14 championship games. That's where you're going to make your money on those back ends, right? You're getting 6 games so far. Both of them could end. So out of 14, you could get 8. And if you're the NBA, you can get between 7, 14, 21 games between your conference finals and your championship. You got 4, 5, 9, and now 12 out of 21. This thing could end at 13. Woo! Whoa! What a bummer. Honest to goodness. That is absolutely amazing how many blowouts there have been in these series. We will talk a lot of NBA with our good friend Andy Schiffman. That is coming up in our second segment. Also, Hubie Brown made this statement. I thought it was incredible because Hubie Brown is 90 years of age. He goes back to the NBA in the 60s, right? And he says Jerry West was the second best general manager that he ever saw. Only Red Auerbach could beat it. And Red didn't even have as many championships as a GM as Jerry West between the Lakers and the Warriors. Pretty amazing stuff. And Andy Schiffman's got a Jerry West story or two. College World Series starts today, and in just a few minutes, we'll be talking with our friend Tim Doolin about all of that. Tennessee will be in action tonight, and Tony Vitello, who we mentioned yesterday, compared to Skip Bertman at LSU, and according to John Adams, the second best coach in the 38 years he's covered Tennessee. That means Philip Fulmer, Johnny Majors, Bruce Pearl. I don't even know who their tennis golf coaches might have been. Really and truly, that is saying something. So we'll get Tim Doolin's assessment of all of that. And it is SEC versus ACC. And we'll get his sense. He got 4 in. He said there would be 5. You know, what's interesting to me, it is first time in a while, all of the top 4 seeds have made it into the College World Series, all 4. And incidentally, all were hosts of the Super Regionals. In fact, 8 Super Regionals, 7 were super regional hosts. 7 of the 8. It really does pay to be a host of the final step before you get to the College World Series. The U.S. Open off and running round number 2. It appears to be a little bit more difficult today. Scores, I think, will be a little bit higher. Rory McIlroy, who was nothing short of perfection yesterday. I mean, the way he was striking the ball, making big putts, staying out of trouble, it was amazing. He was 5 under, but he's 2 over today already. Xander Schauffele, who had he was Houdini yesterday. He kept escaping if you were watching at all. He was in trouble. He ended up, I don't know how, even par. He could have been 4 or 5 over par. He is 2 under today. There's not many in red figures today. Bryson DeChambeau, who was 3 under yesterday, and he was the most fortunate guy. He got 2 of the most major breaks with drops I have ever seen. And he's that way. He knows the rules and he exploits them. He's 1 over today, so he's 2 under. And a lot of the big names have not teed off. I don't know what it will take, because 4 over is what Tiger Woods was yesterday. He does not tee off until later today, but I'm just wanting to check where +4, that's tied for 80th. So he's got to go under par today, most likely. Certainly got to be even par and hope others will falter for him to make the cut. And as I mentioned, we'll be talking with Tim Doolin. Cubs and the Cards today. I don't know if we'll get to it because we're going to talk so much College World Series. But both those teams can make a move. The Brewers are 6.5 in front. You got 100 games left. You're in the 60s. But you've got to make a move about now. Both teams, Cardinals and Cubs, under 500. Cubs started off the year good. The Cardinals started off the year terrible. They've gotten better. Cubs have slipped. The Brewers are catchable. One of those 2 teams can do it. But I think it kind of has to start right now. And I believe, let me just double check here very quickly. I believe that series is in Chicago. It starts at 1:20 today in Chicago. It'll be Wicks, and it'll be Gibson on the mound for the Cards. And I think this series could begin momentum for one of these 2 teams. But it'll begin on the north side of Chicago. We shall see about all of that. Great crowd last night in Collierville for the Tigers tour. $23 million now have been raised, according to interim athletic director Jeff Crane. $2 more million, and they'll begin phase 2. They've already begun phase 1 on the redo of Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, which is really just converting the east side suites into a press box and game op area. But once they get $2 more million, you'll see a lot more construction that will begin on the west side, I believe. So they only need $2 million more. That was the big news. The other thing is that is boggling my mind a bit is that the ownership transfer from city to school has not been completed yet. So they're doing all of this, beginning all of the renovations without total transfer of ownership. I'm certain that will end up coming. Expect the athletic director pick to come in July. I think it'll happen very fast. I know the president will interview, and as soon as the interviews are over, he's going to pick his person. That, I believe, is the way he wanted to do it. He doesn't want leaks. As soon as the interviews are done, and they'll be done in rapid succession, he will name his guy or girl, and that will come, I think, in the first week or 2 of July. We'll get a hoops update, an AD update, thoughts on what's going on with basketball. Penny was a no-show. I shouldn't say no-show. Penny was not at the tour last night, so he was at the first one that I emceed. Jeff Brightwell's emceed the other 2, and Penny was only at the first one. I don't think there's anything to that. I know Penny's really working hard on trying to find guys, but we'll get an update from Bryant Dacus as he ends our week, as he always does. That will come your way at 10:45. This is the craziest thing. I don't know if there's any legitimacy to this. This is a Brett McMurphy tweet that I saw. Allstate Insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate. Apparently, they are in discussions with the Big 12, a $30 to $50 million deal that would make the Big 12 the big All-State Conference. Could we get to that? Is that where we're going? The big All-State Conference? Holy smokes. And if they do, is that only worth 50 mil or 30 mil? You would think it would be worth a lot more. One more Tiger football note. I was listening. We Phil Steele had Chandler Martin, fourth-team All-American, but he had 16 Tigers on 4 All-AAC teams. Athlon came out today, 14 that are on the 4 teams. Whew. Maybe that's why it was so crowded at the tour in Collierville last night. This is being driven by football. How about that? It is being driven by football. I'm in the Family Leisure Studios. Summer party sale going on strong. 24-foot above ground pools under $2,000. You can get select in-stock patio furniture 50% off. You heard me. 50% off on 2024 select in-stock patio furniture. Wow. There's 20% off on ladders, filter systems, and the robotic cleaners for the above-ground pools. Play gyms $1,000 off. It's time to party outside, summertime, and who does it better than Family Leisure? Nobody. Family and fun and the summertime party sale going on now at I-40 and Whidden Road. I don't know where he is today. Tim Doolin joins us now. Good morning. You were almost Nostradamus in your picks. You said 5 from the SEC, 4 got in, but 4 from the ACC as well. Who's the better baseball conference?
I think top to bottom, Wolo, good morning. I think top to bottom, I think the SEC still is. The ACC is really kind of rejuvenated with the likes of Link Jarrett's done a great job at Florida State and got them kind of back in the picture. And obviously North Carolina, Scott's done a great job there. He's been there forever as assistant and now the head coach. And some of the two of the teams that have been really, really good traditionally over the years, Dan McDonald at Louisville have slipped. Clemson, Eric Backage is kind of bringing them back to prominence again. So ACC's making a little bit of run, but the problem you got is some school named Texas and Oklahoma are jumping in the SEC, and that's only going to make it more impressive when you look at that league. So.
No doubt. It is crazy. Is that good for college baseball where you have 2 conferences that have locked up everything and nobody else is even there? There's not really a Cinderella story in all of this. For the first time in a while, the top 4 seeds that were seeded to begin with have made it to Omaha.
To answer your first question, I don't think it's good, but I think you really got to tie it and chase the money. You got a lot of big money in the ACC and a lot of big money in the SEC, as we know. and with the NIL and the portal being what it is today, it's no different than the football and the basketball. It's gotten crazy. It's like the Wild Wild West. So I don't see it slowing down, and I think you're going to see the SEC and the ACC continue to thrive in baseball as well.
Tony Vitello played down to the best way that he could in his vibrant way. The fact that a number 1 seed, which the Volunteers are, have not won since 1999. That's 25 years ago. And by the way, John Adams, who has covered Tennessee sports for 38 years, said that of all the coaches that he has covered at Tennessee, Fulmer, Majors, Bruce Pearl, Don DeVoe. I'm missing a whole bunch. I'm sure I don't even know golf, tennis. That Tony Vitello is the second best coach he's covered in Knoxville, other than Pat Summitt. Do you buy that he's that good? And he compared him to LSU Skip Bertman.
Well, first of all, he's really good. He's one of the few in college baseball that is probably one of the best grinders in recruiting over the years. He's dynamic. He's got a great personality. He understands today's players. He's running a really, really effective business and has really put Tennessee back on the map in baseball. But I think it's a stretch to say that he's the second best ever when he is yet to win a national championship. Now, he goes and wins a national championship, then I think you can have that conversation. But for me, it doesn't matter who it is until they've captured that. I don't know that you can say they're the best or the second best. But he is definitely and Skip Bertman was, I guess, in his era, but Tony V is much more dynamic, and his players love him. He's very smart. He understands that he's needed to surround himself with a great staff. He's done that with Frank Anderson as his pitching coach. Very knowledgeable, and obviously has done wonders with the pitchers. And he's got a host of other assistants that have done a great job as well. So I can definitely understand the argument.
So I said in the beginning, the number one seed overall has not won in 25 years. That's true. That's fact. Tony can, take attention away from that, have a little rant, and I think he was trying to take the pressure off of his guys. I really do. So I think there was a method to his madness. But why is it? Why do you think a number one overall hasn't won since '99?
Well, I think first and foremost, I do believe that the baseball national championships, this event, is the hardest of any of them to win because there are just so many games, so many matchups you've got to play with your pitchers and manage effectively and hope you can get through some games without having to burn up your whole bullpen. And it's a much Ameritrade Park is a really, really big stadium, Wolo, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see the likes of Kentucky, Texas A&M, who played a little bit more of a complete game than, say, Tennessee. Tennessee led the country in home runs. They don't steal a ton of bases. They hit a lot of fly balls that go over the fence. Well, a lot of those fly balls might be being caught in Omaha this week, whereas Kentucky has played everything. They bunt, they hit and run, they steal bases, they have some power. They pitch it really well, and they play great defense. So we talk about this every year going into the major league playoffs to where you can't just bank on 3-run home runs because those pitchers, because they're in the playoffs, are really good too. So it's just a very difficult event that is hard to win, and it's a grind.
No one would argue that Omaha is a great place for this World Series. They've done it forever. They go out of their way to accommodate, because it's, as you just said, it's so grinding, so many games. You're not sure how many are actually going to end up being played, and they do a terrific job. And for that reason, to keep it, they built a new ballpark. But you just mentioned it's much bigger. It's more like almost a major league stadium or AAA baseball stadium than it is a college baseball stadium. Was the older one better in terms of the way?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, the ball, I played in that stadium. It was the old Omaha Royals AAA stadium. The wind blew out all the time, and balls flew out of that park. Now, the wind's going to blow because we're still in Omaha. However, it's a much bigger park. You're going to see, some triples, doubles. But if the wind's blowing in, you're going to hear a lot of people saying, "I got it," because they're going to be catching a lot of those fly balls.
All right, so who's going to win? You've just said maybe Tennessee's not built for this. Give me your winner. I suspect it's going to be an SEC team.
I don't know that. I mean, North Carolina's really good. It's so hard to pick this, but and it's just going on just a gut. I think Texas A&M is going to win it, and they're going to win it if they do, they're going to win it without a former Doolin Dodger, Braden Montgomery, who's going to be probably one of the top 10 players taken in the draft. He broke his foot on a slide into home last weekend in the Super Regional, but Jim Schlossnagle's done a great job. He's been to Omaha several times, and they are really, really good. They pitch it so well, and they've still got 3 or 4 hitters in that lineup that can really bang it. So I think either A&M or Kentucky might win this.
Kentucky is an incredible story because they are one of the few teams that have gotten to Omaha that were not a preseason top 10. Now, they've been good the whole way, and they worked their way into it, but preseason they were not top 10. That's a heck of a story in Lexington.
No, I'll tell you, he's done a great job with that club. He was hired at Kentucky from Mississippi State. He was the recruiting coordinator there. Full of energy. Another guy that is kind of similar to Tony V, and he relates to his players. He's energy. He's passionate. And they put together a complete baseball team, and that's to say a lot for them. You know, Kentucky was at the bottom of the SEC for years, and they built them a new stadium, and obviously we know how they support their teams, especially when they're winning. So it wouldn't shock me a bit to see them win the College World Series this year.
All right, some news out of Oxford. Mike Bianco and Ole Miss have hired a new pitching coach. His name is Joel Mangrum.
Joel's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. He was a long-time assistant at Austin Peay. Hard worker, went to New Mexico State for a brief stint, and then got into professional baseball with the Cleveland Indians. Worked his way up to the pitching coordinator position in the minor leagues for them. I understand that Keith Carter, the Ole Miss athletic director, mandated Bianco to go and hire a full-time pitching coach. And for 20 to 30 years, however long Mike's been coaching, he's been the pitching coach. So, again, if you know Mike, he's a hands-on guy. Some would even say he's a Mike Rowe manager, and I still think that Mike's still going to be handling most of the pitching decisions. However, Joel's a good guy, and obviously has worked his way up through the ranks, and I'm sure the Ole Miss faithful are definitely hoping to see the last couple of year woes on the baseball diamond to turn around quickly.
In other words, Mike, we want you to stay, but we think you need help. You've got to hire a pitching coach. That came from
basically
above. Yeah. Okay. Last thing, Cubs Cards. They start a series on the north side of Chicago. Both those teams, I think, are capable of catching the Brewers. I really had high hopes for the Cubs this year. I think this is the series that is the winner here has a chance. You tell me, can the Cubs or the Cards catch the Brewers?
Well, I think they can. I don't think it's any different than we talk year in and year out about that division. It's still up for grabs. There's not, even though right now the Brewers are kind of the dominant team, I still think that if there's some trades made, be it from the Cardinals or the Cubs, that could pick up, some of the things they might need, I think you can see one of those two teams make a little bit of a run and make it interesting.
My friend, safe travels wherever you're going, and have a great weekend. And we'll be talking College World Series when we talk next week.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Wolo.
Me too. Thank you, Tim Doolin, our man on baseball. Brought to you by one of his favorite places. It's Miramichi. I will be there on Father's Day, kind of my gift to myself. I love to go to Miramichi. I love to play the back nine in particular, but I like the front nine. And you'll see the waterfall. You'll see the creek that's running. Gorgeous and competitive. 5 different tee boxes, and there's one membership left for $300 a month. I'd grab it. It won't last long. Tell them that we sent you. It's in Woodstock. These 18 beautiful holes. That's 12 minutes from downtown, 22 minutes from my driveway in East Memphis. I promise it's that close. It's gorgeous. It's competitive, the best practice facility going, and great people. Beautiful clubhouse, and the best place to sit and have a beer afterwards on the deck that overlooks 9 and 18. The best view of any golf course in Memphis, I promise. Go check it out. Tell them we sent you. Miramichi, just north of downtown Memphis. We pause for a second. When we come back, to Chicago we go. Our agent from Priority Sports, that's Andy Schiffman on the NBA. He's next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Hulu is coming in hot this month with new shows, new movies, and all new seasons of your faves. This FX's Clip, the story of one NBA team's racial reckoning starring Lawrence Fishburne. Stream a new season of Short, the underdog hockey team that might just knock your teeth out. Then catch the high-speed drama Ferrari starring Adam Driver and Cruz. Get your streaming into high gear this month with so much new stuff to watch on Hulu.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text are just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
Back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshyn.
Weekend's here, don't forget. You can stock up at the Spirit Shop. Go see Eddie Connors, his family. They've been at 4848 Poplar in St. Nick, right down from Clark Tower for years. It's that little log cabin. You've passed it by. So much wonderful stock in that little place. It's spatial engineering, I promise. And it's filled with great stories and an education on all the spirits. I'm talking valuable bourbons, up-and-coming wines. You name it, he's got it. He's got every accessory. If you need a particular seasoned rub for a particular craft cocktail, he's got it, and he'll tell you what to do. All the local IPAs, including my favorite, Grind City, it's all there at the Spirit Shop. Go see Eddie, get an education, and the best prices on any spirit you could want. To Chicago we go. And our agent, Andy Schiffman, is standing by. Will it be a sweep tonight in Dallas, or will we go back Monday to Boston for a gentleman's sweep? Good morning.
Good morning, Dave. Look, I'd love to say we're going to see more basketball being played on Monday, but I do think we're going to see this series and this season come to an end tonight in Dallas. Boston is just a very, very well-oiled machine right now. They've got contributions from players across the board, not just Brown, not just Tatum, Derek White, Sam Hauser. You talked about him, obviously Drew Holiday. And with Dallas, you had monster performances from both Kyrie and Luka at home in Game 3, and it still wasn't enough, even after a pretty successful first half. Boston, I think, is just, well, I don't think I know, they're just too good. So I do think we're going to see this season come to a conclusion tonight.
I'm not sure. I don't know why I kind of think there'll be a gentleman's sweep. I thought it would be Dallas and Boston in 6. I think you thought the same thing. So did Zach Boyd, our producer extraordinaire. But the teamwork, they did this without Porzingis. That's kind of what surprised me a little bit. I'm so happy for Xavier Tillman, the former Grizz, who hit a big three. He's played good defense. He hasn't been playing very much. With Porzingis out, they kind of needed him, and he stepped up, so he's going to earn that ring, and I'm so happy for him because when he was here, I always thought he was really one of the good guys on that Grizzlies team. He's not.
Well,
one,
he is a
one
priority sports client.
Oh, he is.
Absolutely.
Of course, he is.
You hit the nail on the head. Good guy. Xavier, he's I don't know how much of this is public knowledge, but he's been going through a tough time. He actually just lost his father a couple of weeks ago.
No, we did not know that.
Yeah, so again, probably not public knowledge, but to see what he's accomplished this series and in the playoffs going through that difficult time is very, very special. And I know it'll be an emotional night for him tonight if they win, or Monday if they win. I think the winning is inevitable at this point.
I do, too.
But it's been great to see him do what he's done, obviously coming up on a big contract this summer, being a free agent.
Since he is your client, which I had forgotten. Seems like you've got everybody. Do you have Caitlin Clark by any chance?
Not yet.
Okay. I wonder, does a shot like that, a performance like that, and he's done that in the playoffs before. He did that with the Grizzlies. He had a big three.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that helpful for him getting a contract? Because as good as he's been and as good a guy as he's been, he's really not ever become a consistent rotation player in the NBA. Does this help him from that standpoint?
It does. It does. Maybe more. I think maybe more with Boston, just because they probably value him more than maybe other teams at this point in time, just because he's there, he's in their organization. The difficult part is Boston is paying a lot of money in the luxury tax this offseason, so they're only going to have so much that they're going to be able to offer Xavier. And I think what Xavier did when he was the Grizzly really, really skyrocketed his value, relatively speaking. I'm not going to sit there and say he's going to go out there and sign for a max contract. But again, where he was a year ago, and with all the injuries the Grizzlies had throughout this season, he was put on a platform, let's say, where he could really show his value, and he did that. And I think the shot has continued to improve throughout the season. I think you know what you get with him down low, just the blue-collar, hard-nosed, rim running, rebounding, just, bloody up his nose to go out there and scrap and claw. And there's so much value in that for a young, hard-working guy like Xavier. So for sure, these big moments in the playoffs, they do help players like that. I think everything is magnified when players go out there and play well and have big moments. As you said, obviously it's not like he's going to be starting and playing 30 minutes tonight and going to go out there and put up 25 and 15. But again, just in terms of being that role player off the bench, it has so much value for high-level contending teams, whether it's Boston or some of these other teams that could go after him this summer. I do think there's a lot of value in Xavier, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Speaking of the magnification of a finals, what has this done for Luka Doncic? I know he gets his 25 to 30 every game, and he'll assist. He's got incredible vision, but there's two sides to a basketball card. He has been targeted defensively in the fourth quarter, maybe because he's tired. He has not performed well. If you look at his numbers in this series in the fourth quarter, they are minuscule. And on top of all that, the stuff with the referees is a total distraction. What has this series done to this? And he's young. I mean, there's not that many. I mean, you're talking about Bird and Magic and a very few others where in their early to mid-20s, they were the key guys on a team. And so he's still got time to grow and to learn. But what has this series done to his rep?
Well, you hit the nail on the head again, right? He's 25 years old. And I think I don't really think it's hurt his reputation, Dave. I think he's shown that he can carry the team this far into the finals. And that's the biggest knock that you see on some of these franchise players, right? And I'll name one. Obviously, he was involved in the draft night trade with Luka. Trae Young. The biggest knock on Trae Young and his reputation is that you're not going to win with Trae. And I do think that Atlanta is going to be evaluating different options to move Trae this summer. And whether or not it happens is we do not know yet. That's a difficult contract and a difficult ego to trade.
Mm-hmm.
I think Luka's answered the question now that you can win with him. It may not be the most enjoyable experience going out there and playing alongside him unless you're Kyrie Irving. And I just know that from talking to different players over the years. But again, he's Luka. So I think refs are going to be a little more lenient, as you've seen with superstars like him in the NBA. Other players, you open your mouth before you can even get a word out. You're getting teed up. Not so much with Luka. But I am not – look, for sure there's struggling that goes on in the fourth quarter. I think a lot of it is fatigue, both physical and mental. He's played a lot. He has such a high usage rate in terms of being relied upon by this team. Obviously, he's physically banged up. I feel like every other game lately he's questionable or he's limping into the tip-off just because of just the physical toll these series takes on a player's body. And they were not favored in any one of these series in the playoffs, and he carried them. He won all of these series, essentially. He's the leader of this team. Obviously, other players stepped up here and there, but this is Luka's team. It's his franchise. So I don't really look at this so much negatively as some people may. I think there's a lot of excitement now with Dallas moving forward because, again, I think they were the fifth seed. No one expected them to be here. Everyone expected to be Denver or Minnesota, potentially OKC. No one penciled in Dallas to start the season to go this far. I know I didn't. And so, look, I think they've got a lot to look forward to. I think Luka, quite honestly, I think he's really helped his reputation in terms of showing people now that you can win with Luka Doncic. You can now do that. Some other superstars in this league, you still can't say that enough.
You were living in Memphis when Jerry West was the general manager. Of course, you then became an agent, so you may have had some when he was with Golden State or with the Lakers, Clippers. You may have had some business negotiations with him. It was interesting. A wonderful article done where Hubie Brown was quoted as saying, and Hubie's been since the '60s part of the NBA. He's 90 years old. He said, other than Red Auerbach, Jerry West was the greatest general manager in the NBA's history. Auerbach and West, 1 and 2. You buy that? You got any good Jerry West stories?
I definitely buy that. And what he's done, and he's not a guy to ever puff his chest out and have an ego, as we've seen in Memphis, obviously. And some of the moves he made in Memphis, obviously with the Lakers and the Showtime era with Shaq and Kobe and what he built there. Really, every franchise he's touched has had some level of success. Maybe they don't all win championships, but he came in and really helped shape the Grizzlies and lay a foundation, what we've seen there. And so, obviously, it's tragic news of his passing, and I reflected on it earlier in the week, and a lot of people that I work with obviously have similar stories. For me personally, Dave, I do have a story, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I still think about it quite often. So I was going into my third year at law school in Marquette, and going into that third year, I was reaching out to anyone and everyone I could with NBA teams because at that time I was really focused on trying to work for a team. And so I already knew some people at the Grizzlies organization at the time, Jerry West. I think it was my third year, but whatever time it was when I was in law school, he was still the president of the basketball operations side prior to Chris Wallace taking over. And I was very relentless and persistent in trying to have a phone call with Jerry. And eventually I remember the secretary said, all right, well, let me put you through to Mr. West. And so finally, as a young kid, I mean, I say kid, I was probably 24, 25 years old at this time.
You're a young adult at that point.
A young adult, we'll say that. I still think of myself as a kid. But I had a 20, 30-minute phone call with Jerry West, and I got to pick his brain and ask him questions. But really, I was in awe of who I was speaking with. And so I primarily just listened to advice that he gave me. And then before the call hung up, he actually invited me next time I was back home in Memphis to let him know, and I could come by the office and say hello face to face. And so I for sure did that one of the Christmas breaks. And I remember very vividly, I was there in his office. This is when the Grizzlies had Pau Gasol, and I sat there in his office for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, just he and I talking. One of the coolest things I saw, again, this was before I was in the industry, so I was on the outside looking in. He let me listen in on a phone call that he made to another team discussing potential trades. And it really was, this was December, so it really, not like it was up against the trade deadline in February when things are moving at a really quick pace. It was just a cursory phone call, but it was very interesting and cool for me wanting to be in this business to see someone of all the people, Jerry West, pick up the phone and call a GM of another team and talk about a potential trade and what they have. And then he hung up the phone and kind of gave me a summary of what he was trying to do with that phone call and how to handle things.
Wow.
And then ever since then, I just kind of stayed in touch with them. And being in this industry, I would run into him here and there. And he was with the Clippers, and I had a couple players in the Clippers when he was there, just made small talk. But that time with him and someone trying to get into this business and having him help me just a little bit even and just be exposed to that part of the business was something I'll always remember.
That is amazing. Did you ever then, as an agent, get to talk with him, making any kind of negotiations when he was at the Clippers or the Warriors?
No, not so much with player negotiations. Just I didn't deal with him in that aspect. It was more like the team's GM, whether it was the Clippers with Lawrence Frank or different people with the Lakers at the time. I'm sure my boss here, Mark Bartelstein, has had many negotiations with Jerry West on significantly higher level players than the level of player I was probably dealing with back then. But I would see him from time to time and kind of walk up to him and reintroduce myself. And he very, very warmly remembered that conversation and would ask how I'm doing. And I know his son, obviously Johnny went to Los Angeles, was in Memphis. He has another son, Ryan West, who's worked for several NBA teams, so I'm actually pretty close with. And Ryan is one of the best people out there, and he and I are close. And I talked to him yesterday, actually. And so I know it is difficult, not only for the family, but just for the whole basketball world in general.
Last thing, real quick. Lakers don't get Danny Hurley. I don't know if there's egg on their face. Obviously, Hurley could have had this job for $70 million, and he chose not to take it. Your thoughts on what the Lakers will do, and does this sort of tarnish their image?
You know, I think for the time being, pundits will say it does tarnish their image. I don't think so long term. You are going after an elite level winning college coach, and I think at a certain point, to certain people, money is, at some point you have enough, right? And I think, say what you want about Dan Hurley, I think he understands he's in a place where he has an opportunity to create history, continue to win championships, and he's come out and said how much he loves UConn, and I think he's built for college basketball. I don't think he's built for the NBA, and I think he had enough wherewithal and a clear head to recognize that, despite obviously the exorbitant amount of money that the Lakers would pay him. So I think right now in the media, yes, everyone is kind of laughing at the Lakers. I'm not. I just think now they're going back to the drawing board. Obviously, there's talk about them revisiting J.J. Redick. I'm not certain that's the best move. I think J.J. would do a great job relating to players, but he has no coaching experience. And now all of a sudden throw him into a role where you're managing 15 to 18 egos, much less LeBron James of all people. That is very, very difficult with high expectations to win in L.A. That is a very, very high-pressure, difficult task for someone that's never done it before at any level. I'm a big J.J. Redick fan as a person. I just don't know if that's the right move. So I'm not really sure what the Lakers will do from here.
I don't know either, and I'm with you. You know, it wasn't that long ago, I guess 20 years ago, whatever it was. They went after Mike Krzyzewski. Same thing, big offer. He said no. He wanted to stay in college. I don't blame Hurley because of two reasons. One, he's got a chance to make history. He's going to get a raise. I'm sure he went to L.A. to get a raise. I don't think he was ever really going to take the job.
I tend to agree with you.
I think he used
Despite
it,
what he says, I tend to agree.
He used it as leverage. He wants to try to win 3 in a row. That hasn't been done since Wooden 50 years ago, and he's got a chance to do that. He can still go to the NBA at some point in time. And why would you go to a place where you're going to fail for a bit? LeBron's 40. AD's the only good player, the third best player on that team. I love him. His Austin Reeves probably, and he couldn't start on any other team in the NBA.
Right. Well, I think Austin could start, but he's not going to be your first option on any winning team.
Right. So I think,
but in general,
he makes a great call, and he'll get more money, and he may end up in the NBA someday. Anyway, you enjoy the weekend. You going to the Cubs Cards?
I will be busy with draft preparation, unfortunately, so I'll have to miss this series, but hope to get there later in the summer for sure. I'll send you a picture.
Okay, please do. Make me feel bad. All right, buddy. Take care. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Friday.
You too. Happy early Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago. He's brought to you by Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. Yes, the weather's hot, but so is the market, and it could be even better and better. He thinks that while it's good, it could be even better as the summer goes on, and he's working on it. That's why he's so bad at golf. I talked to him about a membership at Miramichi. He said, "What? I love Miramichi, but I can't play. I'm too busy 24/7, 365 with the strategy that gets you to the closing table quicker than anybody else. That's just the facts, folks. He's the best. It's the 3 Ps, preparation and pricing involved in all of that. He's got the strategy. You just make the call, 483-0546. You want to get your house sold, you call that number, 483-0546, or go to memphisrelocate.com. There's a reason they call him Shell Done. The job gets done. You get to the closing table. You will sell your house that quickly if you call Shell Done Rosengarten. Back in a minute. We'll end our week. Brian Dacus is standing by. He's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. In Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Whopper Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at the Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Yeah, we're going to talk some Tigers. Brian Dacus in the house. Brought to you by another big Tigers supporter. That is the Eflin Insurance Team. Such a supporter that his number's 901-386-GER. That's 4777. And he picked those numbers because he loves the University of Memphis Tigers. 901-386-GER. You call that number and you collaborate. Really, that's the truth. Matt and his team, they want to get to know you so they can protect you better. They want to know about your family. They want to know about your budget. They want to know what's important. And then they protect your car, your house, your future with life insurance. That's the same philosophy that he will use when it comes to business. He'll get to know your product, your employees, all about you, forecast you out a little bit, what's the budget, and then he finds the perfect commercial insurance. All you got to do to call Matt to collaborate is call 901-386-GER. That's the number for the Eflin Insurance Team. Brian Dacus joins us now. I've been getting this question, and I know the answer. We should have probably said this a few times. Where is John Harden?
Yeah, no, he is on a lake somewhere in Pickwick, or somewhere on a lake.
So he took a vacation.
So, yes, he took a vacation. I believe his daughter's birthday this week and grandson's birthday?
No, it's grandson.
Grandson. Okay, so...
So it's a birthday week?
Yes, so his whole family went out to Pickwick and celebrated this week. So, yeah, I've been replying to a lot of texts this week on the text line of, where's John? Where's his show? He's fine. He'll be back on Monday.
He gets vacation time. Everybody,
right.
We all do.
Yes, that is right. So, so be hearing national radio this week, Fox Sports, but Monday, John will be back with all of his craziness, so that'll be nice.
All right, that is. I know a lot of people are happy about that, and you still get Colin Cowherd,
That's right.
1 to 3. It's not like he's going away because he does a terrific show. But Johnny's back 11 to 1. That will be on Monday. This was just a vacation. Last night, sellout in Collierville for the 3rd Tiger Tour, and the people in advance knew Penny was not coming.
Yeah.
The reason I point this out is because it was totally a sellout. This was all football driven. In total respect for Matt Reiser, the baseball coach, Alex Simmons, the basketball coach, this was driven by football. I think it's a precursor to what we're going to see in attendance at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I think you're going to see a lot of football fans, Tiger football fans, in the stadium. I think this is a very good sort of metric as to where the interest is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I heard you talking about it at the start of your show. I mean, you look around, and Phil Steele, his magazine's coming out soon, but he's already put out his all-conference teams and All-Americans, and Chandler Martin, 4th team All-American. Ton of players. I tried to go through and talk about all of the guys that were on Phil Steele's just AAC
16
teams.
guys.
Yeah, I just couldn't get through. I think I went through 1st and 2nd team and said, okay, there's a lot of guys on 3rd and 4th team as well. So you've got that. Lindy's came out. They're giving the Tigers a lot of love in their all-conference teams. Athlon, I believe, came out today or earlier this week.
14. 14
wow.
on all 4 teams. I think they've got 5 first-teamers.
Yeah.
You think about this, 16, 14, some offense, some defense.
Sure.
Everybody's got kicker, got punt returner, got kick returner, so special teams. I mean, across the board here, you are deep.
Oh, it's incredible. And so you're getting all that love from these preseason magazines. You go on to, ESPN and all of these sites that people go to, and it's, they're doing predictions for next year, and they've got the Tigers as the team that's going to represent the group of 5, or they have them in that hunt. You look at, I think even what they're doing recruiting. I mean, when you have buzz, when you have 4 stars on campus and you're in the mix, you're in recruiting battles with Florida and Florida State for these guys, all of that just comes together to form excitement around this program. What they did last year, 10 wins and won the Liberty Bowl. I do think there's a ton of excitement this season, and as we get closer and closer, that's only going to build. So I'm glad to hear that it was a sellout crowd last night. I'm glad to hear that there's still that excitement, because I think you're still seeing a lot of people talking about basketball just because you're at that weird part of the offseason where it feels like a lot of things are happening. You're talking about coaching staff turnover. You're talking about player turnover. But as we get closer and closer, I do think the excitement for football is going to be off the charts.
I can't wait for that first game. I really can't. And I'd be very curious to see what kind of crowds we will see at this renovated Liberty Bank Stadium, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Which gets me. 23 million raised. That was the word from Jeff Crane last night. 2 more million to go before you really start phase 2. I hope those aren't a hard 2 million, because remember, you got 25 million after that.
That's right.
If you want to get phase 3, and I think phase 3 is critical if you're really going to get this renovated stadium.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think the university's been doing a good job when it comes to getting this word out and trying to raise this money, and so we'll see. But I do think you mentioned all of that excitement. I do think that excitement will pour over into people wanting to support financially and try to get this done for Memphis.
I sure hope so. New AD. My sources telling me probably first or second week of July. It's going to happen real quick. They're going to identify who they want to interview. They're going to bring him in really quick. And before anything can leak out, he's going to make his announcement. What are you hearing on that regard?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think the university wants to move fast on this because you have so much momentum, in football and really in a lot of sports right now. And so I don't think you want to lose that momentum when it comes to hiring the AD. And so you want to move fast. And so I do think they're going to get in there and find somebody. I think, right now where Memphis is at, you've got football team rolling. You've got, a lot of attention always on basketball with Penny Hardaway. You've got, I think good things happening with women's basketball and with baseball as well, and those other sports that are doing really well. And so I think you have a lot of momentum on the field, but then you look at stuff that's going on off the field. You've also got momentum there with what's going on with, new stadium and that sort of thing. So, all this momentum, they want to move fast. They want to get somebody hired. So I'm with you. I think they're going to move fast, and I think sometime early in July we'll get some sort of answer.
You know recruiting better than I know recruiting. Give me an update. Arthur Kaluma, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Kalen Boone, the 6'8"
man.
kid from UNLV.
Yeah.
What's the status? He's not here yet.
Yeah.
Of Daniel Vieira Tuck, the kid
Yeah.
that's from Dallas, but that's
Sure.
been playing in Portugal.
Yeah, so I'll start with Vieira Tuck, the most recent commitment. A guy that, like you said, from Dallas, spent the last year in Portugal and played over there. He's on the, I think, U20, U19, whatever it is.
His mom's a
national team.
Portuguese native, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's been over there. He's playing on their national team. So they've got FIBA competitions coming up this month, and so he'll be playing with them. I think I read Jason Munn said that he'll report with the team at the end of July, I believe. So that's going to be a guy that's not going to come in till really later. But everybody else on campus, I think Vieira Tuck's probably going to be a guy that's end of the bench. You might see him get a few minutes here and there. He's very raw, has some good stuff, very crafty guard. But I do think he's a little raw and probably needs time to develop. You mentioned Kaluma. Kaluma feels like a long shot. I know there was a lot of it felt pretty good there for a second. I know Jason Munns has kind of tried to swat that away for good reason, and now Kaluma will be on a visit this weekend to Villanova, and it sounds like things are looking very good that he'll end up at Villanova, which would be a massive pickup for them. Kaluma is a really good player. And then Boone, the last guy you mentioned from UNLV, I think a good player, 6'8", 200, and played really well for UNLV. A guy that's bounced around, has been at this will be his fourth school wherever he ends up.
He's got an eligibility issue, too.
And
He's
that's
got
the big question.
There's another thing. It's like DeAndre
right.
Williams all
Yeah.
over. Although he's not as old
Sure, yeah.
as DeAndre Williams.
Yeah, so this will be a sixth year, and the NCAA came out a couple weeks ago and said that they're changing a bunch of transfer rules, and that any player that missed time from the last 3 or 4 years, they will be eligible for another year of competition. So he's trying to take advantage of that. Missed, I think, 7 games during that COVID season, and so he will, or no, excuse me, that's not right. He missed 7 games because he was a 2-time transfer, and you remember last year, the year before, when all of that stuff was happening, they were granting waivers for 2-time transfers, and then they came out with that decision saying everybody can play. So he missed some games then, and so he's putting in a waiver to be able to play a 6th year. It sounds like it should be fairly simple, and he should get it from what I've heard, but it's still in the air. I mean, I think some people felt really good about DeAndre, and it ultimately didn't end up working out. I think you feel better about this, but it's always kind of that risk of will it work out or will it not?
If you don't get Kaluma, this seems like an alternative, and Penny has told me personally he is going to sign one more.
That's right.
He's got 9 guys. If Tuck does show up, that's
Sure.
10.
Yeah.
Means 3 could still be signed. One more is going to come for sure. But so that's 9 players right now. I counted, and I forgot about Dwight Boyd yesterday.
Yeah.
He's now got 13 guys on staff.
Wow.
He's only got 9 players.
Yeah.
That's a very weird
Yeah.
equation. So let's talk a little bit about staff. Somebody's got to get
Yeah.
let go or demoted, and are you going to keep that many people? What are you hearing about staff changes?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you hear so many rumors about what's going on, and I'm now hearing some rumors about Nolan Smith, the assistant who was at Louisville, and obviously that entire staff got let go at the end of last season.
Now that's being reported by the same people that thought Kaluma was coming.
So I that's why I'm saying rumors. I'm sure people have heard that. I have not heard that from any trusted source that I really trust.
Now Mike Davis is definitely coming.
Sure, yes, and that's the big one that I want to get to, because I like that. Now it sounds like, I don't know, it hasn't been stated kind of what role he'll take, if he'll take an assistant role or if he'll kind of come in a different sort of light. But I definitely think a guy with plenty of experience, a guy that has certainly seen the highs and the lows. I mean, has been in a national championship game at Indiana, but also last year with Detroit.
He's won 4 in the 12
won one
games.
game. I
Yeah.
mean, it's incredible. So
That's hard to believe. 1 in 31.
It really is, but I do think that's somebody that could be very beneficial to Penny Hardaway because he's seen everything, it feels like. And so, I think he can help Penny Hardaway with both the highs, the lows, kind of how to navigate that and manage that. So I think that's a massive pickup for him.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day to your father.
Right back at you.
And as the weekend approaches, we'll let you know. Bryant brought you in part by Grind City Brewing, his favorite place to see a concert or a comedian or whatever. It's a great venue, and, of course, it's got the great product. It's all local. It's Grind City Beer taking care of beerness in Memphis with a fabulous brewery just north of downtown. See the city lights, see the bridges, and enjoy Poppy's Pills or the God Hopper or the Blue Moonish thing, the Belga or the Thaddeus or the craft malt liquor, which is called the Tiger Tail because they love the Tigers too. It's all Memphis. Grind City Brewing, taking care of beerness in Memphis. That'll do it for us. Keep your eyes on the U.S. Open. It's going to be a little bit harder today, harder as the weekend goes on. We suspect we'll reconvene on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.